I'm doing a hopefully short audio about a word that I learned a few years ago from a very educated woman that lives in Fishkill. She is a psychologist that retired from working at Rikers prison. And the word is pensioneers. Let's call her Aileen. So anyway, Aileen and I went to see the movie, it was that Korean movie that won an Oscar, Parasite, when it came out. We went to see it at a restored local theater in Beacon. And then we had lunch at a restaurant that was practically next door. So we were talking over our meal about like men and relationships and dating and women and people that we knew in common. We were having a nice time. And she was saying something about a lot of these men are pensioneers. And I said, oh, I never heard that one. What does that mean? And she had said, a lot of men, when they get older, if they were single their whole life or divorced or even widowed for a while, their retirement, is not as much as when they were working. And they might not have really been interested in a relationship or doing the work it takes to have a relationship or a second or third marriage. So when they get older and they realize the cost of living and their lifestyle and what their income is going to be, they start to look around for a woman basically to subsidize them, like to live together or possibly marry, so that they will be subsidized. I guess it's like the male equivalent of a gold digger. Now, my thoughts are, when people are young, they're probably driven more by chemistry and emotions and hormones. That's normal. When they get older, I think it's smarter to look under the hood and to look at a person's character, personality, and part of that also would be their income or their financial status, like whether they spend too much, they're living beyond their means, or they're too frugal, if they're miserly. Either extreme is not good. So, I say when you get older, if you are lonely or you are vulnerable and you happen to find yourself interested in a person, you can't just go by emotions and physical attraction. You have to dig a bit deeper, because otherwise you'll get yourself in trouble. So that's my feelings on that. But so pensioneers, back to pensioneers. So Aileen was telling me about how these men would go on dating sites and they would look for a woman that they thought was doing well financially, and they would, maybe arrange a meeting, a date, whatever you want to call it, and they would start asking about a pension and what they pretty blatantly, like the way a woman might do, like that was a gold digger, would try to find out what the man has or whatever. Now, I say that if you're just trying to find out to see if you're somewhat on equal footing, that's okay. But to do that to exploit a person, that's not cool. One of the things, I'm going to mention my late friend Anita, that we had a disagreement about, not an argument, we just would talk. Anita and I miss her already. We could talk about serious things and agree to disagree, and we still loved each other and respected each other, and we actually learned from each other. It was a good friendship. So anyway, she was open to ideas and change, and so was I. Um, Anita liked to be a little bit flashy, and in retrospect, she passed young. I'm really glad that she did what she did and enjoyed herself, but she did live beyond her means. But anyway, we're going back to pensioners. So Anita liked to show off. She got herself a BMW on a milestone birthday. I don't know if she bought it or leased it or what. She got a house through a mortgage broker with like a 40-year mortgage. She really couldn't afford, and she was constantly juggling and juggling and juggling. And I don't want to, speak ill of the dead, because I love the woman and I love her memory. But so one of our conversations was, she was saying like, oh, why do I attract these men that I kind of want to leech onto me? And I said, Anita, because you present yourself like, a little bit like you have all this stuff. And I said, a man that's financially secure or has money, or that really is looking for a good heart or a woman to love, isn't gonna want you just because you drive a BMW or because you have a cute little house on the creek that's all fixed up. They won't care if you drive a Yugo or a Pinto, or if you're living in a basement apartment. If a man loves you and he's decently successful, he will want to bring you into his fold and elevate you. And there's the corollary, which is what I did during my years of being single and dating. Is these guys that thought you had a lot of money, I would immediately tell them how broke I was. And I drive a simple, no frills, 4-cylinder vehicle. It doesn't have a lot of miles on it. And I bought it in 2008, cash. End of the year, bought it on Halloween off the lot. Cash. That's the way the European people do it. They buy things cash, they don't get into debt, and that's how they end up with money. Just a hint, that's how my mother is in a private nursing home that is not funded by the government. Okay, a few people might understand that. So I was the opposite of Anita. I said, Anita, I downplay what I have because I don't want someone going after me because they think that I have money. And it's bragging to say that I have in the past dated or attracted men that were very professional, that were big earners or whatever. But they weren't after me for money because they had their own money. And I think they saw that I wasn't after them if I was interested in them at all for money, because like I would say things like, okay, like one time I went, this is before I met Sig, I knew an older gentleman from the board game group who was a psychiatrist, and he was a very intelligent, interesting man. And first we were going to meet at a wine bar in Beacon on a Saturday night, and I showed up, and I was dressed nice with my hair fixed up. And then when I showed up, he said, you know what, I'm hungry, let's go to dinner instead. And at the time, there was a really nice restaurant that's now a funeral home in Beacon. So he wanted to go and get dinner. So I said, okay. And, I'm always dieting or cheating on a diet, whatever. So I was like, okay. But I didn't want to spend, I knew he had the money, but I didn't want to, like, order a lot of stuff. Like, he was like, oh, have a drink. I said, no, it's my policy not to have alcohol on a date. Even though I knew this man socially, I wasn't going to have a drink. Plus, I had brought my own car, and I just didn't want to get behind the wheel. And I remember, like, I ordered a salad with like cheese, but like it didn't have like any chicken or beef. Like I just wanted like a nice sized salad with some cheese on it. I might have been a vegetarian at the time because I was a vegetarian for a couple of years and briefly a vegan. But anyway, he was like, oh, come on, order more, have some salmon, have some of this, I said, no, I need to have boundaries with food because, I gain weight easily, blah, blah, blah. We talked about psychology and psychiatry during, we had like a lot to talk about, and we really enjoyed the conversation. He was from an immigrant family as well. And I adored this man, but I couldn't be in a romantic relationship with him because he was too old. After that, we went to the wine bar, and I only had, like, diet soda. And I don't know if he had wine or he had, like, a spritzer or whatever, but, like, we were there, like, talking for hours. And then at the end of the evening, he asked me to be his girlfriend, and I said, look, I really like you, and this sucks, but I feel like the age difference is too much. And he was disappointed, and I said, but, if you feel like you want to stay in touch, I'm good with that. We had some mutual acquaintances. But anyway, I kind of went off on a tangent. I met men like him, and I could have taken advantage of their financial status or their kind nature. A lot of times when I went out, I would insist on paying for myself if I wasn't sure what their financial status was, because I don't want somebody to, have beans for dinner one night so that they can meet their child support or whatever. I'm not. I have food in my house. If I really wanted to drink, I would go to the liquor store and buy a bottle of whatever. I'm more interested in the heart and the soul of a person. That's me. You might not believe it, but okay. Now, a lot of these men and women on the internet, they're looking for someone to beef them up. Well, they might get someone who's naive initially, but you know what? In the long run, it never works out. Because if one person is using another person, the person being used might be resentful. And the person during the using, can you really be happy long term with someone that you're using as an ATM machine? So therefore, I do downplay myself because I would never, I'm not out there right now. And I might not be out there for the rest of my life because I do have someone in my life. But if anything happened to either one of us, I would hope that the remaining person would be honest and authentic, because what do you attract when you flaunt? I know it's normal, like evolutionarily, for the male of the species to do peacocking, like the male kind of plumps up his feathers to attract the female bird, and, the different things in the animal kingdoms. And humans do that too. But I'm not talking about the peacocking that men do to attract a mate. I'm talking about, the real relationship thing. So the men that are pensioners and the women, I feel like they should just be honest about it so they can all attract each other and leave the people who want true love, emotional satisfaction, authenticness, and all of that. Leave us to ourselves. I went off on a tangent because I went down memory lane. But the whole point of this, I started off with pensioners. It's not a good look. Anyway, everyone, have a great day. I know I will. Bye.